I'm your host, Nadine of 818 Events, and this is 818 and Conversate. Every episode is going to feel like a spontaneous road trip with your closest friends. Bring your luggage because we'll be unpacking everything. I'm going to be joined by an awesome passenger every now and then, and who knows, we might even pick up a hitchhiker along the way. Picture this, you're vibing, spilling the tea, storytelling, reminiscing, manifesting even. There might also be a little detour of controversy here and there, and we may even have to pump the brakes when shit gets too real. But it will always be a good-ass conversation and the road trip that you don't want to end. Episodes will drop the 8th and the 18th of every month, so in the spirit of a dope road trip, be sure to grab your travel snacks, crank up the volume, hop in the whip, and let's ride! This is episode 10 of 818 and Conversate. It's episode 10? Yeah, episode 10. And I'm really excited because I have Julia here with me today, and she is also known as Toronto Plant Girl on Instagram. In life, are you known as Toronto Plant Girl in life?
I've had some people come up and ask me, are you Toronto Plant Girl? Yeah.
Do people even know your name's Julia, or is that just your name by default?
Somebody actually commented on one of my photos. They're like, you never introduced yourself. What is your name? I'm like, it's in my bio, but I'm Julia. They're like, oh, well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's so weird.
Okay, well then let's take this opportunity. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
So my name is Julia, also known, like you mentioned, Toronto Plant Girl. And I run the page TorontoPlant.girl on Instagram, which started out as a forum for me to document my plants two years ago in end of August.
Amazing.
And it's just kind of grown from there into a business. And I also do branding for companies. So like brand deals with different platforms, different companies. And
I want to know more about that. That's exciting. So it's crazy because you started this really to just like showcase your plants, like the process of them like growing, because like you guys will see if you check out her page, like this is just like a fraction of her plants.
Just like 1%.
Yeah. She's got a lot of plants, and you've shared their story, like their growth story and stuff. So that's how the page started, and you kind of blossomed from there. So
yeah, I think actually my first post on my Instagram, if you like really scroll down, because I think I have like 200 something posts, was this plant here.
Oh,
and
it's getting it's time to shine.
Yeah, I know, right? It's beautiful. And I actually bought this plant, and it was like 2 leaves. It was about this big. It was so tiny, and it's grown like this, and there's a new leaf coming in.
And it's healthy, and it's beautiful.
It's thriving. Yeah, she's doing great.
You have to follow. Do you name them? Do they have names?
I don't name them, and so many people
ask me. You barely give people your names, so why would I think that you have names for your plants?
I don't, and I follow so many people that actually do name their plants. You know, like one of them will be like Felicia, or like one will be like Brandon or something. I'm like, I can't name them. It's not my thing.
What do you refer to them as? If you're like Mom, pass me that.
They're scientific names.
Okay. Does your mom know all the plant names if you need her to pass? I'd be like, which plant? It's like when someone asks you to pass them the screwdriver, but they use the like proper name. I'm like, the star one or the one that's just flat? Okay, tell me, everybody who's listening, how did you get your start? Like, why plants? Fill me in.
So I would say a few years ago, I want to say like 2018.
Okay.
I really wanted to redecorate my room, like we were just talking about. Like my room just it was painted at this point. It wasn't the ugly color I was talking about. But it just was like bland. Like there wasn't much going on. Like I didn't like my bed frame. I didn't like the furniture that was in there. And I really just wanted to make my place look nicer. Because, you know, in Toronto, like things are so expensive. And I realized like I'm probably going to be living in my parents' house for a few more years. So I might as well make the best of it. And I'd say it was September 2018.
Okay.
Is when we found out my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. So it was really hard to deal with that. You know, I was home a lot more. And at that point I was working full time, like crazy hours, at a retail store. And I was also finishing up university. So it was just crazy. And I would find I'd come home and like, you know, your home is supposed to be your sanctuary, like a place where you could relax. And it was hard to do that because I would see my dad and like I would know the inevitable that was going to happen because the doctors obviously didn't give him the best odds, basically. So that's when I really dove into like trying to create a space in my room that was calming and peaceful.
And felt safe. Yeah.
Exactly. And because I was trying to spend more time at home. And so I started looking up like decorating videos, like.
And this started like you had like, this was like, you didn't really have plants at this time or anything.
No plants.
So you were kind of
Yeah, my mom always had a few plants around the house, you know, like snake plants or like jade plants or whatever. But I never myself got into them.
Okay.
So I started watching room videos, like apartment tours, all of this to try to get inspiration. And the one thing I noticed was all of these videos had plants in the background. You know, there was always a couple plants scattered around these people's apartments or rooms or whatever. And this one video got recommended to me, and it was a plant video. And it was just this, like, older blonde woman standing in front of this, like, 30-foot fiddle fig. Like, it was crazy. And something about the thumbnail, I was like, wow, this looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
Something triggered me to click it. You know, and I'd never watched a plant video before.
I can honestly say I've never watched a plant video other than your page.
Other than me. And it was like a 25, 30-minute video. And I watched it. Like, there was no, like, transition. Like, it was just this woman being like, well, this is a Chinese evergreen. This is really beautiful, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, this light, like that. This is a Monstera deliciosa, and I've had this for this minute. Like, she was just talking like that, like normal. Like, there wasn't anything, like...
super engaging.
Exactly. Yeah. But I just sat there and I was like, I want to know more. Like, I really want to know more.
Shout out to that lady. You created this wonderful being.
Yeah. So, like, I think after that, I watched, like, all of her other videos. And I started taking notes. I started, like, trying to learn, like, all of their scientific names and, like, how to care for them, what soil they need, what light they need, what water they need. And I was like, you know what? I really want to get plants, but I want to know as much as I possibly can about them before I purchase them. Because if I'm going to do this, like, I don't want to waste my money.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to buy a plant and not know what it is or how to care for it or whatever.
Kill them all.
Exactly. So I spent about 5 months doing that. And in a way, like, watching this woman and other plant videos and plant YouTubers or influencers, whatever you want to call them, they kind of like kept me company in a time where I was
struggling through things.
Yes, and I felt so alone. And you know, it's so hard to see somebody like my dad, you know, Italian, strong, big guy, you know, like man of the house type of figure, like just slowly kind of like
so I went through this
away.
Myself, if you don't know, but not with my dad. Actually, both my parents have passed, but my mom was the same, like super strong woman.
Yeah.
So watching that like deterioration is
hard.
very challenging.
It's not
and
easy.
You do feel very isolated because even though somebody may have gone through something that you've gone through, they're going through it in their own emotions, their own ways and stuff. So I totally get it.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it might sound corny, but like, yeah, plants kind of like helped me through that. So it was really reassuring to like have this living being kind of around me. So yeah, in the start of 2019, I bought my first few plants, which I still have in my room now. It's been like 4 years almost.
Yeah.
And I just started collecting. I didn't have my Instagram at this point. I did follow Instagram accounts that were plant related, but I didn't have my own Instagram account. I just had my personal. And I would follow pages. I would watch YouTube. I'd read. I would subscribe to magazines about like horticulture, gardening.
Were, like, learning,
I was like, I had a notebook like with like pages and pages like of notes.
Just thinking about it, just hearing you talk about that and like thinking about it introspectively is like you were putting your energy that could have probably gone into really like dark places or really challenging places into something. And oddly enough, into something, well, I guess it's not odd, but like into something that you're helping like birth and grow and watch it like and nourish it and take care of it. And
it's very similar to like, I guess, how pets can be very therapeutic for somebody going through something, right? Because you're taking care of this being who like relies on you to grow and be okay. Yeah. So I can totally like see that period for you and how it was, you were so engulfed in it.
Yeah, like I really like just dove in. And
was it distracting you from other things, like learning this? Do you think?
No, it wasn't. Okay. And I thought it would, but like it really wasn't distracting at all. Like, and at the same time, like I was going through, you know, family issues with my dad, and then I was still working full time and finishing school. So. And then also on top of that, like learning plants.
She decided she was now into horticulture.
So like it was a lot, but like I never looked at, you know, learning plants or going to the plant store or whatever as like work. Yeah. Like I just genuinely enjoyed it.
Passionate
it was so
about it.
like so much passion behind it. And like I go to my local garden center that's like 5 minutes away from me, and it's beautiful. And my mom and I would go there, and I would spend like 4 or 5 hours there. Like, it was just the most peaceful place.
Wow.
So that would help. Like, if I wasn't feeling good and I was feeling really upset and, like, really sad, I would be like, I'm going to go to the garden center. And I'm just going to, like, unwind. You know? And, like, now I literally have created a garden center in my room.
She's unwound.
Exactly. So,
was there something that, like, what was, like, your first, like, fall in love with plants? This baby?
I'd probably say this. Like, obviously when I bought it, it was like the tiniest, like little things. Like, this is known for its, like, the splits in its leaves. And when you buy it, when they're immature, they have no splits. Yeah. So that was actually my biggest thing, was like, I want to get, they're called fenestrations. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to get fenestrations. Like, I was so, like, that was like my goal. And the thing is with these plants is like, you can't force plants to do anything. They just need do it.
Nourishment.
Yeah. They do it, right? You give them the right environment, you give them the right light, soil, watering, fertilizer, whatever, they're going to do what they're supposed to do.
I feel like what you're talking about is very similar to like raising children. we have no idea, but I guess it's similar to that.
You kind of just have to let them like do their thing. Yeah. So
you can take care of them and help them grow.
But if they want to grow that way, they're going to grow that way. Like, you really can't. Like, I give this thing a moss pole and like try to like make it go a certain way, and it works for the most part, but like it'll do its own thing.
It's doing its own thing. If you're listening and you're not watching this on YouTube, you need to go check it out on YouTube, because you can see the plants that we're like surrounded by, and this is just a fraction, but
this is a small little portion.
You can see her baby that she's referring to. But so tell me, so you completely became like so in tune with this plant life world, and your room became like a nursery.
A jungle, basically.
A giant nursery. So kind of what developed from there into like you becoming Toronto Plant Girl?
So I think it was about a month after my dad passed away. So that was in July. Thank you. I was in July. And so fast forward a month, it's August. And I'm sitting outside with my brother and my mom. And I had just gone out the night before with some of my friends from high school. And they were like, oh, like, that's so cool. You know all the names of the plants and this and that.
They're not easy names.
Some of them are hard, right?
Yeah.
And they just thought it was so interesting. And I don't really think it's a big deal. But I guess, like, for somebody that's not a plant person, quote unquote, like, it's kind of a big deal. And they're like, you know so much. Like, why don't you start a YouTube page or start a blog or something? And I'm like, interesting, like, maybe. But then I'd always think, like, who would want to listen to me, or like who would want to watch me? Like,
lots of people, girl. Lots of people.
So I always had that kind of.
You're cute and you're bubbly. Everyone listening right now will agree.
So I think so. Then the next day I was outside with my brother having lunch, and he was like, "Oh, like, you know, how are your friends, whatever." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, they said, like, you know so much about plants. You should start a blog." And this is my middle brother, and like, he like jumped out of his chair and he's like, yes, you have to start a page. And I just wasn't expecting that reaction from him, and especially him, because like him and I always had like our issues and like our differences.
Sibling stuff too.
Yeah. And we became like much closer because of my dad.
Yeah.
And he was like so enthusiastic. He's like, I'll take photos for you. I'll take videos for you. I'll drive you places. Like whatever you need, I'll do it.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. Like I wasn't expecting.
You're like, well, now I got it.
I was like, okay, well, like shit, I have to do it, right? But I just wasn't expecting that type of reaction. Like I was expecting like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Like cool, right? But the fact that he was so enthusiastic about it, I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. Like maybe I don't see what other people are seeing. So I was like, you know what? Like, let me start a page. So I literally started a new page. I had it as Toronto Plant Girls with an S. And then I changed it like maybe 2 weeks later to Toronto Plant Girl. And again, like I posted my first couple photos. And the whole goal of it was like, let me find other Toronto plant people. Let me follow pages. Build a community. Yeah. Like I knew there was a plant community. I just didn't know like actually how large it was and how large the Toronto plant scene is. And yeah, like I had no expectations, no goals, no nothing with the page. Like I didn't think that like I would be on BlogTO. I didn't think that like I would be working with brands and like asking them for like money, like lots of money. Like I didn't think I would have a business. Like I didn't think I have like my totes and my stickers. Like I didn't think I would be like selling products and like.
Yeah, you have your own merch.
Yes, yeah. Like I didn't think any of that. And that was not part of the plan at all. It was literally like, I want to stop bothering people on my personal Instagram page and like dedicate another page to my plants.
A community that is supportive of it and like interested in it.
And then also too, I wanted to learn and I also wanted to share like my knowledge.
Yeah.
So it just kind of took off from there. And I think within a month or 2 months, I was already at like 1,000 followers. And I was like, wow, like, this is crazy.
People like plants.
Yeah. And it like really just started to like grow like from there. And brands would reach out to me. And when I first started, like, I didn't know like I could charge people to like post. So I would just be like, oh yeah, send me products, I'll post for free. And now I'm like, as soon as brands reach out to me, I'm like, here's my price sheet. Like if you don't want to pay this,
look
then,
at this
like,
girl.
Don't message me back.
She figured it out. It's so I didn't say this at the beginning of the episode, but I decided to call this episode Got Growth, like question mark, got growth, like got milk. But it was a combination of things. It's like, you know, this good growth of plants, growth of yourself, but this organic growth, this social media organic growth. It's interesting because we live in an age now where people are buying their growth, or their social, I guess, their social growth is really based on like their aesthetics and you know, this
like it's very fake.
There's a whole facade that happens, you know, to create. I mean, people are working with brands and endorsing things and stuff like that, but when you think of something so like natural as plants and people's passion for it, and that's why you've continuously like grown and developed in this biz, it's crazy because you would never think that people are in so much intrigue and interest of plants on social media. But I've seen it not only with you, but I've seen it with a few other people that I know that are just like real plant people, and people are interested in it. Some people want more substance in their life
I found like personally, like I felt so much better just about myself when I stopped following all of these like Instagram, IG type of models. Like you know, like I would follow them because like I like their makeup or their outfits or like whatever. Like I like the poses that they did in photos, but like I just would always feel like not really great about myself.
Yeah, because you're like, I don't pose like that.
I don't look like that. I don't look like that. I don't like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't have the money to buy that purse, but like neither do they. It's all a front.
I know.
And once I realized that, and once I started spending more time on my plant page than my personal page, I just felt more confident and I felt better about myself because every day, like, I'm consuming plants. Like, I'm not looking at like, you know, Kylie Jenner, like whatever, like, and like comparing myself to these like unattainable things. Yeah.
And no hate to any of that, but like, you know, to be able to disconnect from that is such a healthy thing for your mindset.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I did episode 8 with Miguel. I think it was episode 8 with my friend Miguel, and he actually, funny enough, you know, he built his own community, and his community was truly about like the determination to like be outside and be his community is like a me versus me mentality community.
Okay.
And you know, he wanted to lose weight, he wanted to get fit, he wanted to build a group of people that were on the same page and the same wavelength. And you know, he built a community of runners that's like they're like at 120 runners every Thursday together, and they do this run. And to sit down with you now and hear you talk about plants and a community that just like built around that, you start to realize that there's a lot more substance in the social networking world than people, I think, give it credit for, because we're so always like everything in our face is always about like aesthetics and brands and all of that kind of stuff. So it's nice to be able to take a step back and be like, there's communities and pockets of people that want more, want to do more, want to see more.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And then to hear you say, you know, like brands reach out to you now specifically about this realm of things and stuff. So talk to me maybe about some of the like cool business opportunities that have come your way. Cause like you are very candid about, what you're working on. You share on your social media, like, you know, you're working in the bee shop with a client, or you're doing this or whatever. So tell me a little bit about some of your like cool opportunities that have come your way.
So for the consultation, like for my consulting business with the plants, you know, I don't want to like name drop or whatever, but like one of the clients I just worked with is like the VP of a big e-commerce company, and people are just guess which company that like is.
Super cool.
People just find me. Like I think the other thing is I try to keep everything like very professional looking. You know, with I noticed I had an increase in clients with when I launched my website.
Okay. A different demographic relates to a website than it does to social media.
Yeah.
Although social media is kind of like what made you more prevalent, I guess, in the realm of you know, this world, but like for you to have a website, people connect with it differently in a corporate.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like a lot of the, like another client I have, she has her own consulting firm. So like she works with like Microsoft and like Facebook. And like she's amazing. Like she's so cool. She's like pretty young too. And her business has just skyrocketed. And I've been doing plant work for her. So it's just really cool. Like she has a big office, like loft office on Richmond. Like nice. It's just really interesting, and I like working with those people because I like to pick their brain as well. And it's just
you're exposed to all of this like knowledge.
And like they'll give me like feedback, which I'm so grateful for. So it's been really cool to work with people like that to, you know, style their office or style their home. And then as for the Instagram side of it, I think I'm allowed to speak about some of them. I'm just trying to think because like there's some NDAs.
Who can she share? Keeps breaking stuff in the background, but that's okay. We had dogs barking and things falling, but we're still going. Who can you share with us? Who's one of your favorite clients that you can share with us?
I would say the VP of a big e-commerce company.
I don't know who it is. I have no idea who it is, but it sounds intriguing.
She was really cool, and she gave me like so many good business tips, and her home was just absolutely beautiful.
That's amazing. That's super rewarding when you can like work with somebody that you are not only getting to do something you love and someone's paying you to do it, but you can also gain from that experience with them as well.
100%.
And I mean, and I'm sure the thing about it is you're very I mean, I've only seen you on social media and stuff, but I was introduced to you through, you know, Betsy, who was on episode 6, but I just can like feel your authenticity. So I'm sure for people to have you in the room and to, you know, to work with you and have you talk to them about what their babies, their plant babies and stuff, they can feel that energy as well. So people want to feed into that because you're younger, they can see that they can see you thriving and stuff. So why not, right? Yeah. So for you to have that exposure to like people who are successful and like constantly business focused, why not give that to you?
It's been really rewarding, I think, to have that. And I definitely think it's kind of given me like the upper hand in a way. Not that I want to like have an upper hand on anybody. It's just like it has given me a bit of like a better jump.
Bit of an edge, a
bit of an edge, you know, because there are people that are in Toronto or like GTA area, not really Toronto, but that are doing the same business that I'm doing. They
trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out. You know, I get anytime I post any of my vlogs, I constantly get DMs or comments like, how did you start? I want to do this. This looks fun and easy. Like, how did you do this? I'm like, fun and easy. Like, I'm lugging these plants around.
I've watched a few of your videos where you're like lugging pots, dumping soil, like driving place to place.
I'm covered in dirt at the end of it.
Does not look easy. It does look fun because it looks like you're doing something you love to do, but like nothing about it looks easy. I'll tell you that.
And again, like, you know,
also
like,
saying things like phalange.
Like,
saying the plant names does not look easy either.
Yeah, and I think too, like with those vlogs, like obviously I show like a highlight reel, like Instagram, and again is like a highlight reel. So there's never been like bad times when I'm doing consultations or client work. And I have like my friend, my plant assistant that comes with me, and like her and I always have a good time. So yeah, the energy and the vibe is always like up and fun.
Great,
but nothing about it is easy, you know? And I think so many people have a misconception when they do reach out to me and they're like, you know, I want to do this. Like, how did you start? Da 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 da. And like sometimes, you know, I know it's not coming from a place of like a bad place when people reach out to me, but sometimes I get this.
I love this. The clock, her grandfather clock's like dinging.
Embarrassing.
No, it's not embarrassing. I love it because I've had to be honest, I was saying before we started recording, like, I love that I've been invited into people's homes or their workplaces or stuff where we can like sit down and have these conversations for the episodes. But I actually love this space because it feels very like homey and cozy, and now the grandfather clock just started going off. Like, I love it. It's not embarrassing at all. It's great. So that's our cue to move on to the next thing. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, sorry, you were saying, but it's not easy, and you know, you're hustling every day doing this,
and I don't think people realize that, you know, like,
and you're doing all the back end business stuff as well,
exactly,
right?
And that's the thing, like it's literally just me, other than like my assistant that I've hired who comes with me when I have to do like really big projects where like I physically cannot do them myself. It's just me. So, you know, sometimes I want to message these people and I'm like, are you willing to drop like over $1,000 on a website? Like, no, like maybe it's not
ready
the
for a
business
clap
for you.
back, but she's trying to be graceful. She's ready to clap back on social
Sometimes
media.
It's just, you know, like, I think the thing is like so many people want instant gratification, right? Like I started this business a year ago, basically like a year ago this summer, and it was a really slow burn. You know, I was not the level that I'm working now is not the level I was working last year. This time, I had like 2 clients basically last year, and I never looked at it as like, oh, like why me? Like why am I not doing this, or why aren't I getting these types of clients? Like I never looked at it like that, because when you have that type of mentality, like you're not gonna get it. Like you have to just think like things that are meant to be will be, and the things that I want will come eventually, right?
It's interesting you say that, because it's very similar to what you're saying about the plant growth as well, right? Like, you know, you have plants are not a thing that just happens overnight.
Exactly.
For one. Yeah. So you have to have that patience to watch something grow and nourish it and let it flourish and continuously grow and change and become its own thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you're saying that, you know, people that are interested in taking on this role that you have, they want this instant gratification, because nothing about a plant is instant.
Exactly.
At all, in order for it to be gratifying. So just to hear you say that, like, you had to patiently wait for this business to grow. It's kind of like the same as the plants itself, right?
Yeah. So,
and your relationships have to grow. You're literally showing up with plants to someone's house and saying like, let me help you make this something spectacular. But like, it's going to take time to show you that it's going to be that.
And that's the thing. Like, I have these conversations with clients where like they want something and I'm like, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm sorry, like I have to be blunt, it's not going to happen. I'm like, but I can create this for you instead. And like, I think it's that level of trust having with the client and just making sure that like we're both aligned. Mm-hmm. Some people want plants purely for the aesthetics, which is fine, and I try to work around that. But like, you know, if you've got a small little window, like I'm not gonna recommend a fiddle leaf fig for you because like it's
like I can't even say the words. Fiddle leaf
ficus lyrata.
A ficus lyrata. We should just do a glossary at the end of this. Right. Yeah, because your goal is to create thriving plants, right?
Exactly.
Not put plants somewhere that they're gonna just die, and then it looks like it's your fault as well.
Exactly,
because you're supposed to be telling people where they're supposed to go.
Exactly.
So, question for you on that topic: do you feel like have you had, I wouldn't say like nightmarish clients, but like have you had clients that you're like, absolutely this is a terrible idea, or absolutely this is a great idea, and people are opposed to your input? Or is everybody very trusting of like your input in this?
I'd say everydy's pretty trusting.
I would hope so if they hired you.
Yeah, everybody's pretty trusting. Like, you know, I always do like the initial like consultation. Yeah. I can't focus when my mom is here.
Mom's here. Shout out, Mom. She's got her glass of wine and she's watching the show.
You can watch it later. Yeah, I've not had any like nightmare clients. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's one client specifically that I can kind of like think of that I've made a point of like I'm not going to work with her again. But that was
to do that in my wedding planning business.
Yeah, but that was more so because like she was just being a little bit like she wasn't like respecting of like my time and my and like my service fees. Like she kind of wanted like me to do more work, but like not
within the scope,
but not within the scope, and not be expected to be charged for it, even though it's like I literally told you like this is what I charge for what I'm doing.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And it was just kind of a bit weird too, because like she actually had her own business, so I'm like, you of all people should understand that like when I let you know a price and I let you know the service,
it should resonate.
It should resonate for you. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of made a little note to like not work with that client ever again. But other than that, like,
or anything that's similar to that client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But other than that, honestly, I have seriously the most amazing clients. Like,
good for you,
like, and like even to like a lot of them, like I literally tell them, I'm like, you want to send me a photo of like a new leaf that just popped out? Like, go for it. You want to call? You want to FaceTime me? Like, I have a great relationship.
She doesn't want nudes. She wants leaves. Don't send nudes. Send leaves.
Send leaves. I have really great like client relations with them, and yeah, even like a few clients, like I'm even like I would even almost kind of say like I'm friends with them in a way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's so rewarding.
You develop this relationship with people, right? Because you're going into their homes constantly, and you're speaking to them regularly and stuff like that. So I can understand why you would build up friendship. The thing is, sometimes, so I do my wedding planning as well on the side, and to be honest, after a year of meetings and sitting with people and talking to them about like, you know, their vision for their big day, by that time, like we've now like talked about your children, your plans, you know, so we've built a bit of a relationship that's a friendship. So I totally get it. So have you had people that have wanted plants simply for the aesthetic? That's like, does that bother you at all? Like, it's almost like the people that like want a dog because they want a dog, but I'm like, do you know the work that a dog takes?
Like, you know, you can't leave them home alone for like 8 hours a day. Like, you gotta walk them.
You gotta walk them and feed them and water them.
I've had a few clients where like, you know, they're maybe heart set on like a certain plant. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, you know, the lighting that you have in your space just is not adequate enough. So like, I can't give you that plant, but I can recommend these ones for you that will do well. And they're like, so I can't do that plant. I'm like, no. But we can do these ones. Like, so what if I did this? Like, would we be able to add the plant? I'm like,
what if I cut a new window into my building?
Like, what if I just punch a hole through this wall? Like, can I put that plant? I'm like, no. Like, or a big joke I always make on my page all the time, and it's so funny because like the comment section will get very heated about this.
Interesting.
Is I talk about like not putting plants in windowless bathrooms.
Okay.
because obviously, like, you know, roll back to grade 2, we're learning about like photosynthesis and stuff.
And plants need light, natural light.
Like to produce new leaves and energy and all that. And I swear the comment section on my reels or photos when I talk about this is like, well, I have a plant in my windowless bathroom and it's doing fine. I'm like, no problem. Like, don't talk to me when it's rotting and it's shriveled up and dead.
And they get moldy too, don't they?
Well, yeah, I mean,
humidity and like
all of it. Like, well, I have plants in my bathroom. I'm lucky. I do have a window, a pretty big window in my bathroom, so I have about like 5 or 6 plants in there. Nice. And they do well because there's a window there. There's sun. Yeah. So I'll get some clients to be like, you know, I'm doing a consultation. So they're like, let me take you around my house. Like, I'll show you where I want to put plants. So I'm like, okay, great. You know, I have my light meter there, which measures foot candles, which can translate to like.
What's a foot candle?
Good question. I honestly don't really know. I'm exposing myself. I don't know what a foot candle is. It's basically how you measure light.
Okay.
So like, just to put it in perspective, like, I think like 200 to 400 foot candles is like adequate light for most plants to grow. So like a Monstera deliciosa can like handle 200 foot candles, but it'll grow amazing at 400 foot candles.
And 400 would be more light.
And like, so 400, yeah. So the higher the foot candles is, the more light. So like right now, this is a lot of light. This would be like 1,000 foot candles because it's like direct sunlight. So like a windowless bathroom is 0 foot candles. Just to put it in perspective.
I like over 1,000 foot candles of light.
I know. I love like natural light. Like you can't beat it. But yeah, they'll take me around their house and then they'll finally go to the bathroom and I'm like, please have a window in here because I don't want to start an argument. And then they'll show me the
that made you feel a little paranoid about these conversations that you might run into that have happened in the comment section of Instagram, and now you might run into that with a client in person?
No, you know, my clients are good. So like it's never happened, but they'll be a bit bummed out. They'll be like, "Oh, like I thought I could put a plant in here." And I'm like, "No, you can't."
A fake one.
And they're like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, yes, I'm really sure. I'm like, I'll give you options. You can do a fake plant, and you can do some like tied up eucalyptus in your shower, right? Yeah. Like, if you want some greenery or some freshness in this space, like those are your 2 options. And they're like, but what if I put this plant in? Like, is it gonna be fine? I'm like, it'll be fine for like 2 months, and then it's like not gonna do well. Yeah. So if that's what you want, fine. At the end of the day,
does it hurt you when a plant's dying?
For sure, it does.
Okay.
I feel with it, you know? I feel it.
Have you killed any? Let's
I have.
We're getting really deep right now.
I have, and like that's the thing.
Tell me about the plants you've killed, Julia.
Let's see. I have killed a few plants.
Okay.
When I first started out, I wasn't super knowledgeable about pests because like
and soil stuff.
Yeah, pests happen with plants. Like it's inevitable.
And they have different plants attract different types of pests, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't really know much, and I didn't really know how to treat them. So I did lose a few plants to pests in the beginning, or I lost like a substantial amount of a plant because of pests, but I still have it now. Let me see. Maybe overwatering in the beginning, which is like a pretty common thing. I'm intrigued
because I'm really bad at plants. Like, and my mom was such a green thumb, so I have no idea why I struggle so much, but it probably is because I haven't done a lot of research, but like, I'm always intrigued by what I'm doing wrong.
I think what it really...
But I think mine might be overwatering, maybe.
What it boils down to, the 2 biggest things, and like, I guess this kind of goes into like tips I would give to people, like new plant parents or even just regular plant parents too. It's sunlight and watering. Those are the 2 biggest things. So if you've got beautiful natural light, you can really do any plant, but you have to adjust your watering. And I think people have such a misconception about like overwatering. Like overwatering is not like me dumping like buckets of water on this plant. If this plant's bone dry, I can dump buckets and buckets of water on that.
It's suck it up.
It's not going to overwater it. But if I give it a couple cups of water once a week, that's what's going to cause overwatering. It's not the amount of water you give it. It's the frequency at what you give it.
Everybody listening needs to pay attention to that because I have never heard that and I did not know that.
So my philosophy with plants is trying to mimic their natural habitat.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of these plants, you know, it's like
tropicals,
like rainforests, like some of them are in deserts, you know, hot, humid, and a lot of the times there's drought. So, take, for instance, a cactus, right?
Yeah.
In the desert, barely rains, right? But when it does rain, it'll rain for like 3-4 days straight, nonstop, downpour, right? And then it'll be dry for another like 2-3 months, and then another downpour. So you want to mimic that type of environment for your plants. And that's why with a lot of the tips that I give for people, it's like, let your plants dry out. Almost 100%. Certain plants, you don't want to let them dry out like 100% because they'll like literally wilt and die. But for the most part, you want to wait until the soil is pretty much dry, and like you kind of have to get dirty. You got to stick your finger in. You got to like lift the plants out, like
check them out.
Yep. Like get into your plants,
Love your plant.
Exactly. So
I've got 2 that are doing well, but everything else I've had just. And those are like the 2, like the $2 IKEA plant that I got that's just still going strong.
Still going strong.
And what's the other one? And my friend gave me like the clippings, and it just keeps growing and growing. So
I wonder which plant it is.
I don't know the name. I'm very disappointed in myself for not knowing the name.
Send me a photo. And I'll tell
Madeline, please tell me what plant you gave me. But that one I'm really proud of, because when she gave it to me, it was just 2 leaves in the soil, and now it's like growing. And
it's so rewarding to see that.
So rewarding to see it, that I haven't killed it and it's continuing to grow. I don't know. So you probably don't love when your clients kill plants that you've worked on, huh? Have they killed?
Yeah. So I'm actually, there's a fiddle leaf fig, which like anybody that knows plants is like, it's the plant that everybody wants to buy because it's a really beautiful plant.
Okay.
Like it looks great in like any type of room decor.
Got it.
But they're so finicky, and they are notorious for being like drama queens.
Okay.
So she was heart set on it, and I'm like, I told her.
She was like, if you're not going to take care of it, you cannot have it.
Yeah,
like
basically.
A dog, like a puppy.
Yeah, I was like, listen, like you're going to have to do this, 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 and this. Are you prepared to do that? And she's like, yeah, I'm good. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll get you this fiddle leaf. 3-4 months later, she's like, sends me a video. She's like, Julie, I don't know what I did wrong. I'm like, oh, Lord, okay. I'm like, you know what? Let me take it.
And for every, sorry to interrupt you, for every client that you install plants into their home, do you go back regularly to check on them? Or is that something you're like, you have to hire me to come back? Or are they like, no, I got this. I don't need you.
So it depends. When it's like a really big project.
Yeah.
I usually do a 2-week checkup, which is included in part of the package.
Okay.
If I'm installing like 1 or 2 plants, I do kind of leave it up to the client to be like, I give them their care guide and I tell them what to do, and I let them know, like, listen, if you notice any little thing, just call me, send me a photo, FaceTime me, whatever, and then we'll figure it out.
Save it before you
Exactly. But like if it's something where it's like it's clearly like, they forgot to water it, they overwatered it, they moved it from the spot I told them to, then at that point it's like if it needs to be repotted or I need to save it, like do like a plant rescue, then I would like, obviously that's not included. That's an extra fee.
That's an emergency.
That's an emergency. So I actually on my balcony I have, like porch or deck or whatever. Yeah. I have her fiddle leaf fig, and all of the leaves were like atrocious, like horrible, browning, like dried crispy spots on it, and now it's like flourishing.
You hear me? I'm like, oh, like they're like really cute little creatures, and it's coming back to life.
It's coming back to life. Like there's 10-15 new growth points.
It's crazy.
It's like living its best life now.
And would it be able to thrive if you brought it home and it was inside? Like you have it outside right now?
I have it outside right now just because it's sunny.
But if this was winter and you brought it home, would it still like have an opportunity to thrive?
Inside, yes.
Yeah. Okay. As long as it has the sun in.
As long as it has sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So intrigued by everything. I'm like in awe of her and this knowledge because I have none of it. So talk to me kind of about, you were talking to me about the start of this for you and like how this came. Talk to me a little bit about like your personal growth that you feel like has come from this whole experience, because, you've been like nourishing these little plant babies and stuff, but like how has it kind of like poured back into you? Because we know that as a business you've grown, and social, like through social networking you've grown and stuff, but like how has it helped you personally? I know you talked about how it helped you when you started this and what you were going through, right? But like what else has it done for you now?
I think a saying that a lot of people say in the plant community is like plant care equals self-care. Like we talked about like nurturing something. It's so rewarding and it kind of like teaches you how to take care of yourself in a way. You know, like I constantly check my plants, like leaves, I water them, fertilize them, all this. And I think like, why am I not doing the same thing for myself? You know, why am I not like paying attention? And self-care goes more than just, you know, face masks and like chilling out and getting a massage.
Oh my God,
whatever.
it's
like,
so funny you say that because Nicole just said that on the last episode. She was
it's
like,
so much more than
there's
that.
so much more than a glass of wine and a
it's
facial
more
mask,
than that.
you know?
Like, you know, I've lost a lot of people like by my own choice. Like I've either broken up with somebody or like friendship wise just like removed somebody because I'm like, you are not
you are a pest in my soil.
Be gone. Yeah, exactly, right? But in a
She's
way
fertilized.
in a way, like, you know, it's somebody like maybe they've got a negative mindset or like they say things that like are condescending and like I don't notice it, but now that I've been taking care of my plants, I notice like, wow, like these things that you're saying you might not know, but they're really condescending and they make me feel bad about myself. And I don't want to feel bad about myself. I shouldn't. And, you know, I've removed people like that from my life. I've definitely dwindled down my circle because of that. And it's definitely because of plants. Like they've simplified my life so much more. Like if I showed you a photo of me like 4 or 5 years ago, like I would like so much more makeup. I had like bleach blonde hair. I had like the long acrylic nails, the long lashes, like always going out to like parties and clubs and all this. And like compared to like, I know a lot of other people, like I wasn't even really going out that much. But now that I look at it, I'm like, I could never do that.
You just want to be in a room with your plants.
Yeah, I've simplified my life. Like everything is natural. Like I don't even wear perfume. I do like essential oils and like,
I love that.
Yeah, I've just really simplified things in my life because of plants. And I think that's like, it's helped clear my mind a lot more. I'm not as like jumbled up there, if that makes any sense. Like it's just clearer thinking and I'm able to make decisions that are going to help me now, but also help me later in life instead of just thinking like in the moment. Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like, this is the cheesiest question ever, but do you feel like you breathe better with all these plants in your space?
So funny enough,
I asked that as someone who struggles to breathe.
So I mean, there's like studies that actually show like, there's studies that show like having greenery in your space like helps de-stress. You work better. You're more like efficient, like all this, whatever. There are studies that show having plants doesn't necessarily like increase the air quality at all. But like I personally find like going from like one room to the next in my room, I breathe better. Like the air is just fresher feeling.
She loves you guys.
Yeah. But funny enough, actually, I suffered from sleepwalking. Like,
wow.
Like severely. Like it was really bad. And I've
only ever known one person in my life that like truly was a sleepwalker. It was they actually suffered from sleepwalking and eating out of the fridge. So the fridge had to be locked.
Oh my God.
Because they were
that
like,
would be me.
It was like a friend's sister and we were much younger, but she would literally like rip apart the fridge in the nighttime. So they had to like lock the fridge.
Wow.
Yeah. It had like a padlock.
Wow.
Yeah. So tell me about your sleepwalking.
So
we got real deep here on this episode.
Yeah. So I would sleepwalk. So it'd be so funny because.
So you don't anymore?
I don't sleepwalk anymore.
Okay.
No,
so tell me about this.
So this was before I got plants. This was when I was, like I mentioned, I was working in a retail store.
Yeah.
And I was in university. So like.
And you're busy.
I was busy. Like my mind was just like all over the place. So I would have these dreams that I was in the store that I worked at. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, like I'd have dreams that I was like hanging stuff up. And all of a sudden I'd wake up and I'm in the middle of my closet. And I'm like, what are you doing? Go back to bed. So I'd go back to bed. I'd wake up. I'm like, wow, what a crazy dream. And I kid you not, I'd open up my eyes. I put my glasses on. There's hangers everywhere in my room. And I'm like, oh, so I wasn't dreaming. And this happened like.
This girl's just like flinging hangers around her room.
Like folding my clothes. Like, and I would be dreaming that I was at this store. that I worked at.
I'd
be folding things. I'd wake up in like the middle of my bed sheets and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'd wake up and like everything would be like a mess. And it wasn't like that before I went to bed.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Did you ever film yourself?
No, but I really should have. I feel like I just...
That would have been a whole different Instagram account. That would have been a really good one.
But yeah, I did some research and I found that sleepwalking it's like correlated to stress. Mm-hmm. So when you're really stressed out, you can sleepwalk. It
probably is almost like your body's continuing your thought processes.
Yeah, like it's not resting properly because like you're constantly like my mind was constantly on.
I feel like Keith thinks this is what I do in the daytime. He's like, you're always on. Do I sleepwalk? Let me know if I'm sleepwalking.
Maybe you
he
should
sleeps
record
so heavy he wouldn't even know if I'm sleepwalking.
Right? Like the scary thing was that like I'm like, what if I started to like walk down the stairs or something? Like, what
that is scary. Yeah,
you know?
It is scary because if you have an accident and you think you're like skiing, but really you're just on the staircase, that wouldn't be good. Thank God she didn't have. It's interesting because your plants, like you said, probably helped relieve your stress. But imagine you had them and these poor babies were like getting chopped up in the middle of the night or something.
Like I was like doing some horrible like things to them or something.
So you actually feel like the plants really like helped take some of that stress away 100%. And alleviate that.
Yeah. And like even
so happy to hear that.
Thank you. Even people like, my friends and everything, like family and everybody, like they've all noticed like a difference in me. I'm just like, I'm happier. Like I'm just not as stressed. I'm not as anxious.
I love that.
So
I love that for you.
Thank you. I love that for me as well because I did not like it before. So yeah, they've definitely like, they absorb that. And it's hard to have a negative mindset and like be really, be in a bad mood when I'm in my room. Cause like, it's just peaceful.
And I, like I said, I'm not really a plant person. Like I've never truly understood like or had the appreciation for them, but to just see some of the things that you do and to know people, like shout out to my friend Blake. She's also like crazy plant lady. She like if you eat an avocado, she's taking the seed from you and planting
That's
it.
So
like
cute. I love that.
But she like she cleans her plants and and I think that just that peace and serenity of like taking the time for yourself, like you said, and just like focusing on something, it's like people who do crafts or something, like your mind is focused on something and not worried about anything else. And then for it to not only be focused on something else, but that thing that you're focused on is something that's like living and breathing and growing and continue, you get to see the outcome of it. So, excuse me. What do you feel like you kind of like gain from some of that social media growth? Like we know that there's these like little haters or the little not haters but like there's always somebody that has to say something. Yeah, like somebody else has something to say. Damn it, don't put your plants in the bathroom that doesn't have a window.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
I don't care if
she doesn't care if you're gonna comment.
It's not going to in the future.
But what do you feel like you kind of gain from some of this like social growth? Like we obviously said some of the business opportunities, but that also came with the website becoming official. But like people relate to you, right? Because of plants. So like there's the people that want to be like you or want to do what you're doing, but like what about that community that you built and these people? Like talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been really rewarding actually, because a lot of people that I kind of started this journey with, that when I started the Instagram, like I've actually met my like quote unquote plant friends.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it's I've developed like really great relationships with people because of it.
Do you guys like just share plant pictures and stuff?
Yeah, like I do. We'll go like plant shopping or like, talk plants, but like I think it also has like surpassed that. Where like that's the basis of like why we become friends, but then
there's so much more.
There's so much more. Like also like we figure out that like we're into the same music or we're into the same fashion or like we connect on like other levels, and it's like, okay, cool. Like you're a really cool person and I like talking with you. So like we don't always have to talk about plants, but that's
your plants led me to you. So there you go.
Yeah. My plants have led me to so many people. So it's like, it's opened so many doors, like not just like business opportunities or whatever, but like just relationships in general. It's opened a lot of doors. And yeah, like there's one of my really good friends, she lives in Puerto Rico, and like her and I talk like every day. We send each other like voice notes. Like,
sure, she's got some lovely thriving plants.
Yeah, she does. And I've always said to her, like,
and you met her through this?
I met her through my Instagram.
Oh my
and
gosh.
like we have so many things in common, like
I love that.
so many similarities. And I've said to her, I'm like, one way or the other, like I'm going to come into Puerto Rico to see you, or you're coming to Toronto to see me. And yeah, it's just really cool. Like I'm able to meet people all around the world.
I love that. That's exciting, actually. I mean, the thing that's exciting about it is that it's going to continue.
Yeah.
You're still going to continue to meet people who are passionate about what you do. So you're killer on Instagram with your content. Like your content is so good.
Thank you.
To anyone that hasn't looked at her page, you should check it out. But her content is so good. It's funny. Like even when you share some personal things, like not plant related stuff, somehow it always connects back to plants. Like you told a story about like the Bisha Hotel, and like someone lied and said they lived in the Bisha Hotel. But like, how do you come up with your content? Talk to me about that. Like,
so
I mean, you kind of do. It's funny because not only are you trying to like hit the nail on the head with like, you know, classic like cool TikTok concepts or reels concepts or whatever, but like you somehow are able to spin all of these things into like plants and plant stories and stuff. So like, how do you come up with your content?
So I'd say, you know, like obviously being on Instagram, like I do spend a decent amount of time on Instagram. I try not to like aimlessly scroll. And when I do scroll through Instagram and like watch reels or TikToks or whatever,
it's purposeful.
I always try to watch them and like, you know, watch these audios. And I think like, how can I make this plant related, or how can I relate it back to me or like my page? Yeah. So like even before like when you guys were on your way here, I was watching TikToks and like I saved a couple because I was like, these are really funny. I like watching other people's videos like this, but I need to figure out how to make it plant related. So I'll save it and, you know, I'll have it in the back of my head. And even sometimes I'll bounce ideas off of my friends or like my brothers or something, or I'll get their opinions about it.
When you do the face in the plant, that's so good.
Those are really funny, right? Sometimes people will comment and be like, this is scary. I'm like, thanks. Thank you.
She's like, I envisioned it that way.
I want it to be scary. Thank you. But yeah, I'll do that. And then I'll try to plan like a day to do content. So I try to do batch content days.
Because it takes work.
It does take work, you know, like you set up your phone or your camera. Sometimes it takes like 20 tries to get a reel to work. And I want it to be good. And I have, like I mentioned to you, I have like a film background, so like
that's right. Yeah,
so like
so she's even that's right. You mentioned this right before the episode, so like you're kind of catching me off guard again a little bit, but like now I'm processing this. Like for you, you're really passionate about making these things like look good and sound good, and that
was the thing.
It makes sense.
And that's why I really like doing the vlogs that I do with my consultations with my assistant, because the funnest part for me is like the editing afterwards, because that's kind of what I specialized in university. So it's fun to do the plant content, and then it's also fun for me to edit it as well. And
it's
then
a lot of work though.
It is a lot of work, but it's so rewarding, and I really enjoy it. Like I purely make those vlogs for enjoyment. I could put them on YouTube and like try to do it that way and like actually make like money off of it. But to be honest, like I genuinely make them just for the fun of it.
I actually really, really like them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like the like.
I try to spill some tea every once in a while, you know.
And you always have your Starbucks, so I love it.
Yeah.
I have my beautiful iced coffee here that she made me in this fancy glass straw. So like, we have a whole little setup here, but
going on here.
Yeah, you always have your Starbucks.
Yeah.
I
need.
I guess that's what you need to start your day, right?
I always start my day with.
Okay, tell me what your day is like. Tell me what a typical Julia work day is like.
Okay, typical Julia / Toronto Plant Girl work day is I get up, I'll have a coffee. Okay. I'll go outside to my garden. This is like summertime. Typical day. I'll go to my garden and like.
Is it your garden or is it Mom's garden? Mom's in earshot.
It's my garden. It's my garden.
Okay. Mom's in earshot, so we got to make sure that you guys
she'll check me if I say something. I'll go out, I'll check my garden, see if there's anything I have to pick. I'll water it. If I have the time, I'll like try to do a little workout. shower, get dressed, get ready, whatever. Go to a client for either a consultation, go to a client for like repotting or pest management or installs. I go to work. I do like social media for a garden center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I'll come home. I'll do emails. If I have a vlog that I'm working on, I'll do a little bit of editing. If I have to do proposals for clients, I'll do proposals. If I have to do an invoice, I'll do an invoice. And then maybe like if it's summer, like I'll go out with like some friends
and
or something.
have some like you time.
Yeah.
But do your plants feel like you time? Because I feel like your plants are your you time. Like
like the other day I repotted a couple of my plants.
She's like the epitome of like, I can't come out. I have to water my plants.
No, actually, like, and I have there's a meme and like I made a little video of that and it's like it's true. Like I can't go out. I have plans like, to water my plants.
She has to clean them and water.
Yeah.
them.
So it's like through and through, like start of my day to end of my day, it's plants. Like I like live and breathe plants.
And if you want to see what that looks like check out one of her vlogs because
Yeah.
you're pretty good at capturing it. I have to applaud you for that because even before we started this episode, I was like, girl, we need to take a picture. Like, don't let me forget to take pictures. She's like, take it now. But I wouldn't even when I do my wedding planning, the switch goes on and I'm just in like go mode.
Yeah.
I forget to like set up a phone and do a time lapse and like take a video, a selfie. Like I'm go mode. So I applaud you for that because it's hard to like do what you're doing and be so focused on what you're doing, but also remember that the other thing that you do is showcase that with, the rest of the world to see. So you have to capture those moments. It's very hard to.
I'm still learning to do that. And I think I always kind of like wrestle with myself about like sharing content on Instagram because I'm like, am I oversharing? Like even with these little stories that I tell in my vlogs,
Love
like
them.
I'm like, am I oversharing? Like, is this too much information? Or like sometimes I think like, there's people out here that like share every single aspect of their day, like every second of their day. So I'm like, maybe I'm not oversharing, but I do like to keep some of my life a little bit private. People will ask me questions like
personal questions,
oh, and I'm like, like nothing like crazy, like, but it's just kind of like,
where's your man at?
Yeah, like where's your boo? And I'm like, oh, like let's not talk about this, like just certain things.
Go to my personal page, but it's private.
Exactly. And even there, I don't share anything, anyways. Too, so like funny. That's the thing. Even on my personal page, like I'm also a very like private person.
Well, thank you for letting us come in your home.
Oh, of course.
Shout out to you, Mom, for letting us come in your home.
She gave the thumbs up.
Oh, perfect. I can understand it. And the thing is that people become connected to a personality on social media, I find. And especially with somebody who feels very authentic and genuine, but they want to know more. It's like, share more with us. Tell us more about who you are. And it's like, I'm Toronto plant girl. I'm not Toronto, like, this is my whole life girl. Yeah. So it's hard, right? Because you want to connect with people, but you want to still keep like boundaries.
Yeah, it's boundaries.
Yeah, and it's hard because even in your communication with them, like replying to comments and responding to, certain things like that, it's like you got to filter kind of through your thoughts because you don't want to start the next thing to be, an open door to like more information. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I find this with my business as well. You also have to draw the line with volunteering your knowledge, right? Because as much as you want to like teach people stuff about what you do, that's your business. Yeah. And there's a dollar value and a time value associated with those things. And it's like, hi, I'll give you a couple tips, but like you need to hire me if you want my information.
And that's the thing, like I'll get DMs and messages and things like that of people like sending me like unsolicited plant photos and being like, help, it's dying. And I'm like, I send them my booking website and I'm like, you can book a consultation. Like, and it's not me being rude or insensitive, but it's like, respect my knowledge and respect my time. And like, if you really genuinely want my help, like
you'll pay for it.
This is how you'll pay for it, And I've even had people being like, hey, I just need a really small, brief consultation, like not a full one. So like, do you charge different? I'm like, a consultation's a consultation. Like if it's a conversation, if I'm here for 5 minutes or like an hour, it's still going to cost the same amount. Yeah. Like I don't do that. And I think maybe when I first started my business, I was like very naive with that. And with the people that around me, like even Betsy, like, you know, she's very business oriented and like she's really mentored me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a business person. Like I didn't go to school for business
Yeah.
or anything, and I just know little things based on what I've read. And she's always been like, you know, you have to sort of be cutthroat. Like stop doing this and
Listen to
stop doing
episode
that.
6 because she is the episode we called that practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And or say what you mean what you say was pretty much the whole concept of the episode. And she is like that. It's like, you know,
she's
you
no
can
like
be
BS.
you can be this wonderful, lovely person, but you also can be very straight up and no bullshit. And she is no bullshit. And so I'm glad that she's like poured that into you.
Yeah, she's been like so fundamental to like the growth that I've had with my Instagram and then also my business as well. But yeah, like it's people just want to like take from you, but then it's like when you give them that opportunity to be like, okay, well now you can give. It's like they don't really want to show that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know. I get no shade to anybody who's asked, but like I get requests for information all the time for like, you know, can you tell me like a few venues that might be like within my budget range? I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I do as a business. So like, yeah, I could tell you them, but you should hire me as your wedding planner or at least for a consultation.
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
People don't get it though, because they think that that's information that you could just as easily like Google or whatever. But it's like, if you can,
you would have.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you can, you would have. You don't need to ask me that.
Exactly. And I think too, like, I think people forget that, I mean, like for me, how I market myself is like a luxury service, you know, like plants are, I treat it as a luxury service, like through and through, like the way I operate my website, the way I contact you, the way I present myself, all throughout, like it's a luxury service. It's not something that's like cheap,
run of the mill,
right? Yeah, exactly. And like if people want to conduct their business like that for plant consulting, like that's totally fine. That's just not how I conduct my business. And I think people just need to like respect how you're conducting your business. And if they're not, then like it's not the client for you. And I've had to come to terms with that because I've lost some clients. And I always think like, oh, like I really wanted that client because it was going to be a good opportunity. But like, I just noticed that like they wanted something different than what I was offering. Like they wanted all of me 100% for half the price. And that's not what I do. Yeah.
You know, Keith and I have had this conversation a few times just in general, just about like really trusting your gut when it comes to your choices. Well, we already talked about, you talked earlier about, you know, like you cut a lot of people out of your life that just, we've talked so much about like people at our table and stuff. So like you've cut a lot of people out of your life that don't belong at your table.
Yeah.
For who you are today at this point in time. There might not be anything wrong with them. There might, you know what I mean? But it's just not suited for you and who you are now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the same applies to clients. And when you're starting out in a business, you're really excited to take on every opportunity. You're like,
for sure.
I want to add that to my portfolio and I want that client because that client is like amazing for this reason and they have money and there's probably going to be more opportunities or referrals or whatever. But like if your gut tells you it's not right, or you just have these flags, these red flags that are just like, this might not be for me, even though I feel like it would be great for other reasons. Yeah. It's, you know, it's important to trust those things. And I'm glad that you've learned that so early in the game as well, because the outcome of not following that could be so much more detrimental later down the road, right? For sure. Yeah. And like those, I want to say like those things show themselves for a reason, because it's like, hi, pay attention to this, and if you don't, you'll regret it later, right? Yeah. Whether they're plant killers or they're just not going to pay you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like there's been those moments where like I've had a client and I'm like so excited and all this, and then they're like, you know what, like I think we just are going to go with something different. Yeah. And I feel like, wow, I just like I got messed up, like you know, like I lost an opportunity that was great or whatever. And then I always try to look at it in a positive and be like, they probably weren't going to be the right client for me.
100%.
It probably wasn't going to work out the way I'd planned or I wanted it to. We probably weren't going to see eye to eye.
So we're parting ways before that even gets there.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's good that you have that mindset, because sometimes it takes a while to get into that headspace.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was it? We were going to talk about some tips for people who are like fresh plant parents. Like, give me like 2 or 3 like really important tips. We already know about the sun and the sun and the water.
Okay, sun and the water.
And the not putting it in a windowless bathroom.
Let's see. Well, I think it does kind of go hand in hand with the sunlight, but like knowing the type of sunlight you have. Okay. So like know the direction that you face, you know, map out the sun. Like right now, this is west facing, you know, we're getting like some natural, like direct sun rays. So figuring out the actual direction of your sun.
Southwest is usually very sunny, right?
Yeah, like south is great, west is great, east is great. North isn't bad. It's just like you're not really going to be getting that like direct sunlight all day. South facing, if you have a south facing window, like God's blessed you. Sun all day, like it's amazing. So knowing the actual sun that you have is really important. And just knowing the plants, like figure out what type of plants you like. Maybe you like the look of, you know, there's this one that has like a bushy type of foliage. There's the one behind you that's more of like a tree-like plant. You know, there's palms. Figure out the type of plant you sort of like the look of and figure out if you have the space for it. I mean, like...
Well, and they grow. So don't forget that.
And that's the other thing is too, is like, you know, if you have a smaller, you know, condo building, you know, it might not be a good idea to get like a 14 like inch pot plant. Yeah. It's huge and it's heavy and it's like not practical.
Yeah.
I would say my beginner plants that I would recommend for people is like snake plants.
Okay.
They're really easy to care for.
Is this a snake plant? What's this one?
This is a philodendron.
Oh, a philodendron.
Philodendron. These are also really easy to grow. Like they're vining variety plants. So they're great. They're low light tolerant.
Okay.
Although if you do give them bright light, like they'll thrive and they'll grow really, really quickly. They're great if you have like a shelf like this, if you want to hang them. They're really beautiful. But yeah, this one there, that's a snake plant. I can't reach it.
Okay, I got it. It does look like a little snake growing out of the grass.
Yeah, so they're really easy to care for.
Okay.
You know, you don't need to water them too much. They're low light tolerant, but if you do give them a lot of sun, like they'll just grow faster.
Okay.
ZZ plant is really great.
ZZ plant.
ZZ plant. I don't have one. I have one upstairs. I don't have one here. This one here is actually this is a Chinese evergreen.
Okay.
This is a really beautiful variety. They're super easy to care for. This is a huge one. This is like
it just keeps growing out.
This is a 14-inch pot. So it's quite big. I mean, you can kind of see like it does take up a decent amount of space. Really easy.
It's very clean. You've cleaned this.
Yes, I've cleaned this. The one behind you is called a Dracaena.
I feel like this is typical in a lot of like people's homes. They like them just as like a kind of foliage in the background.
They're really beautiful. They're probably they're such a common plant, but they're like one of my favorite plants.
I love them.
Yeah, and
I like them because they give me palm tree vibes, and I feel like
it gives you this sort of vibe. But like this plant is a little bit more higher maintenance.
What's that one called?
This is a bamboo palm.
Okay,
so it's a little bit more susceptible to pests,
little bugs,
little tiny ones that you can't really see, but they will sort of like suck the sap out of the leaves, and like it'll eventually yellow and like die off. Yeah.
Pests really are
a pest.
And where do they come from? These like the pests in the soil.
They come from the soil. It's just it's inevitable. They just happen.
I remember growing up. I remember my mom had a plant, and like one time I saw like bugs coming out of it, like onto the floor. So I think it was probably the soil. Yeah, it was a little traumatic because it's kind of scary. Like where are these things coming from?
Yeah, they happen. But like again, you know. You just manage them by like wiping the leaves down, using an insecticidal spray of some sort, and just wiping the leaves down basically. Yeah.
So do you not like flowers? I'm curious.
I honestly actually love flowers.
Okay.
I really do love flowers.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to know that because you just love greenery. So it's like, do people just show up with plants all the time?
Yeah, people show up with plants. But I got into flowers this year. I planted some really really big flowers outside in my garden.
Okay.
And, like hot pink, like white flowers,
nice.
like pink flowers, like really beautiful. I'll show you afterwards. Like, it's really nice because I just wanted to create a really beautiful, colorful space outside.
Got it.
But I love flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, I love flowers.
All right. So
I'll buy myself flowers.
For everyone listening, buy her flowers, okay?
Buy me
She
flowers.
doesn't just like green plants. Okay, you want to do a little round of this or that?
Yes, let's do it.
Do you have any other tips before we
Just book a consultation with me.
That's a tip. Good tip, girl. All business. Betsy, you did good, girl. You did good. Okay, so I don't know if you've listened to us do some this or that, but it's kind of like a would you rather, whatever.
Okay, love it.
So before I pull the cards, because there's not a lot of plant related things on these cards, but before I pull the cards, I have two in my head already.
Okay,
so I feel like I know the answer to this, but I feel like if circumstances were different, maybe the answer might be different. Potted plants or gardens?
Oh, this is really hard.
She's not back. You're not backstabbing your babies if you say.
I don't know. I might say garden just because it's the summer right now. Because you know what? Like picking like a fruit and a vegetable that you grew from a seed and like eating it. I also love to cook. Like that's like one of my other little passions.
Yeah.
I love cooking.
Is that the Italian in you?
Yes. It's just so rewarding to like
feed people.
Yeah.
That's the Italian in you.
Yeah.
I'm half Italian, so I think that's the part of being Italian that like,
I just like to feed
why
people.
we love feeding people.
Yeah.
When I'm by myself, I don't even cook like that for myself. I just want to make foods to feed somebody to be like, this is delicious.
I know, it's like the most rewarding
Hint,
thing.
babe, always say the food is delicious when I feed you. That's the Italian in us.
Yeah. So
you know, Betsy, I told you earlier, Betsy posted you guys had a little like get together or whatever.
Yeah.
And post lockdown, and you guys had all this like amazing food, and you had like the pizza oven in the back. Oh my god, I was so envious. And you had
We're gonna
your
do another one.
Yeah,
do another
so
one,
envious. So yes, please feed me one day. Okay, yeah. So you said garden.
I'd say garden.
And you like growing vegetables as well and stuff.
Yeah, like every type of vegetable. I'll grow it. I'll eat it.
So question for you. Mom had plants around the house, you said, like, you know, are you the only one in the house that loves to continuously grow them? Like, have you taken over the house? Is mom cool with you, like, having plants all?
Oh, yeah. She'll come with me to the garden center and she'll be like, I like this one. And I'm like, buy it. Or, like, I'll cut some plants and I'll give her cuttings.
My mom was, like, crazy plant lady. And I was actually talking to your mom outside about it. So my mom would find a space in the yard and then create a garden space for it. But then she would research the size that the plant could potentially grow to and like that she knew it would thrive to, and then design the space based on the plant's growth, and it would like grow to this like perfect potential full garden spread. And like she architectured her gardens.
There's
and like we didn't live on a big property. So
there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
I don't have that bone in me, but I feel like as I get older, I might.
You will. I think the biggest thing is like trial and error, just like trying stuff out and like seeing if it works or if it doesn't, and figuring out why it works or figuring out why it didn't work. And just doing like a little bit of research.
I might have to hire you to help me when I have a home
100%.
that needs some gardening.
Yes, 100%.
Let's dig into this or that. So we already got the garden versus potted plants.
Yes, so I'm gonna say garden, but
no hate to the potted babies.
No hate, but it asked me in 2 months, and I'll probably say my potted plants. It's just garden right now because it's summer and.
Okay, so you told us that beginners should try out either a snake plant or a philodendron?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Which one? This or that for you? If you had to pick one right now, which one would you pick?
I'd say philodendron.
Why?
I have the most of that variety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it because it grows down? Like, do you love that it
grows
grows down?
Well, even that, you see that one there. Not
on the right.
On the right.
Okay.
That's also a philodendron variety. Okay. So that one's like
so there's a lot of versions of that.
There's so many versions.
That might be what Madeline gave me in my little potted thing that's continuing to grow.
It might have been one of these.
The leaves look very similar.
Yeah.
But they're a little bigger.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Let's dive into something not plant related.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather go back 100 years or go forward 100 years?
Go forward 100 years.
Why? She's like, I didn't expect I had to say why.
I just want to see what the future holds. I don't know. I
She
feel
just
like
wants to see her plants grow to this jungle.
I want to see this be like a monster. I feel like 100 years ago, like we already know what happened. Like it's in history books. You can read about it.
Got it. You can't undo it. Okay. Exactly. Got it. Okay. Would you, I feel like this one you might relate to it because you drive from home all into the city all the time. Would you rather never be stuck in traffic ever again or never get sick ever again?
Traffic.
I feel you, girl. I don't mind a sick day. Sometimes you just want to lay in bed and be sick.
Yeah, like,
but I do not want to sit in traffic.
I do not want to sit in traffic. Yeah, I'm gonna say traffic.
Okay. Would you rather live in a cabin in the woods surrounded by trees, or would you rather live on a beach surrounded by palm trees?
The beach.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off the books here.
Okay.
Would you date someone who doesn't like plants? Or was like
I did and it didn't work.
It didn't work out. Oh my god! How could
my mom's laughing?
How could you not like? I don't even know if you could like.
What are we gonna talk about?
What are we gonna talk about? But imagine someone being like, "Yeah, I don't want this in my house." Like,
right? Like,
is that what they were like?
Red flag.
Okay. Let me think of another. Another like this. It's like, you know when you meet someone and you have a dog and they're like, I don't like your dog. It's like, I don't like you anymore.
You need to get out. You need to leave.
Keith got with the program. He learned to love my dog. He was not such a dog person, but he learned how to love him.
That's good.
Let me think of another good little plant question. If you have a new client and they kill a plant, how do you handle that conversation? Like, are you like not angry, but like, do you get like bothered by a client that like kills their plants, or are you like super supportive? It sounds like you're supportive, but
I am supportive. I think like it does upset me because I'm like, especially if it was something that I guided them through or I recommended against.
Okay.
But they were like heart set on that plant, like the fiddle leaf. Like, obviously I was upset, but I was like, you know what? I'll rescue it. I'll take care of it. And like, you know, if it thrives and you want it back, I'll give it back to you. If not, like, I can keep it if you don't want it.
She's like, I'll keep it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it.
She has no hesitation.
Well, my client was like, listen, I don't even want this in my house anymore. I'm like,
no.
Yeah, like,
you abandoned.
She was like, honestly, I like the other plants better. Like, I don't want it anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'll take care of it. Like, I'll revive it. She's like, even if you don't, like, it doesn't matter to me. So I'm like, okay. But it was so funny because I saw her maybe like a month or so ago, and she's like, oh, how's that plant doing? I'm like, really good. Like, it's thriving. Aww. And like, I felt bad to say it because I didn't want to like make a comment about her. Yeah, like
you're a bad plant
But
mom.
Like, she was like, okay, good. She's like, you know, I think I should just stick with snake plants. I'm like, yeah.
See,
snake plants are easy.
Snake plants.
They're super easy. So yeah, I try to be as supportive as possible for sure.
So speaking of the support, before we end the episode, you have mentioned on your social media before, you know, the concept of like plant parents and like plant moms, and you know, the little prejudice about people who maybe only have 2 plants. Are they a plant parent or not?
Yeah.
So like, talk to me kind of about that, maybe where that has come from on social media, if there's controversy there.
Yeah.
And like the plant peer pressure, like, do I have to have like fancy plants to be considered a plant parent?
Yeah.
Like,
so like those two over
is
there.
Is my $2 IKEA okay?
So those ones over there, like whatever you want to call them, like fancy plants.
Okay.
Like, you can say rare if you want to, but we try not to say rare because it like spikes the price up of these plants.
All
so,
right.
like,
Don't say rare. Don't say you want to buy rare plants.
Yeah. But, you know, those are quite expensive, uncommon, like harder to find plants versus like this, which is like
because they're tropical?
Everything's tropical, but it's just that those ones are more desired because like, you know, they have like velvety leaves or like veining or like whatever to them. So I think I would call you a plant mom. You have
2
plants. You have 2 plants, right?
And they are not dying.
But I think you have this like drive to like want to maybe get more and like maybe learn more, right? So I think you're a plant mom. I think like even if you only have a couple plants and you have common plants from IKEA. Like, it doesn't matter where you bought them. Like,
I was like, I'm not willing to spend all this money if I'm gonna kill it. I'll be honest. Let's start baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. Like, that's where it starts, right? Like, who knows? Maybe in like a year from now, like, you're gonna have like 20 plants, and you might even have a little garden. Like, who knows, right? But I think it always starts with the first plant that you purchase.
Okay. And if you love it.
And you know, it'll kind of go from there. Like,
so I get to call myself a plant parent now.
You can call yourself a plant parent.
Okay. And who isn't a plant parent? Someone who abuses their plants?
Someone who doesn't have plants.
Doesn't have them or doesn't love them?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you don't love them, you probably won't have them because they're just gonna die.
You just might kill them all.
You're gonna kill them all.
And then in terms of the plant peer pressure thing, like you can just keep it simple right now, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think like
I don't have to like upgrade to feel like a real plant person.
Yeah, so I'm
to hold my own in a plant conversation. I don't even know what my plants
are. Just say philodendron, and we'll know that you're. That's the code to get in.
Got it. Just have to practice that word a few times.
But I'm really happy that I started my like plant journey with no Instagram because I would just buy plants because I'm like, oh, this is pretty. I like it. It's cool. I'm gonna buy it. Not like, oh my God, that's an Anthurium cristallinatum. Like, it's so rare. I'm gonna buy it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you got to experience the journey like in a very authentic way, not
exactly.
like contrived and influenced by other things.
And I definitely like, you know, I mean, I purchased both of those plants. One, because I genuinely really like them and I think they're beautiful. But also, too, because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to post them on Instagram.
Yeah,
like, people are going to love it.
Yeah.
So
before that, you got to have the little...
Before that, like, I would buy this and I'm like, yay, it's so pretty. I'm so happy. And, like, that's it, right? I wasn't thinking of, like, what my followers wanted or, like, you know, trying to compete with other people because I'm like, oh, they have a Monstera albo and I don't have a Monstera albo. Like, boo-hoo. Like, you're probably like, what the hell are you talking about?
First world problems.
But, yeah, like, I'm happy I started the account with... I'm happy I started my journey with no account because I was just doing it for the fun of it. I'm still doing it for the fun of it, obviously, but like I think there is a little bit of that pressure to be like, you know, like get a uncommon, rare, quote unquote plant, right?
I love the grandfather clock. It's going off again. Oh my God.
What time is it? 5? I know by how many dings it gives.
So tell me quickly, what has been a bad Toronto Plant Girl day for you? Have you had one?
No.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Maybe like the worst has been like maybe
traffic and dirt all over you.
Traffic, dirt all over me, and maybe like, you know, a client that I was like really excited to work with, like not like continuing our journey, quote unquote, together. That would probably be like the worst day.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. I would say that's pretty good on the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're not going 100 years ahead, but let's go like maybe the next year, 6 months. You have merch. You have like some exciting things already.
Yeah.
So what do you envision as next for you other than, you know, continuously growing your client base?
Yeah. I'm working with a lot of other brands like on the Instagram side of it with like branded content.
Okay.
I have a really exciting little venture with like New York Fashion Week coming up.
That's amazing. Okay, so we'll have to like touch back on another episode and see what that's about.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll reveal who this client is that we haven't figured out from the e-commerce world, but like we'll get more juice and more tea.
I think just like growing the client base, but like I would really love to get a celebrity client. I think that would be really cool. I think that's kind of like a goal.
If any celebrities happen to listen to this episode, or if anyone listening to the episode knows celebrities, please send them to Julia, Toronto Plant Girl. So that's a goal.
I think that's a goal. And then just working with brands that I resonate with and that I really like and that I actually genuinely like use or follow or relate to work with them in the Instagram side of my business.
Cool.
So yeah, those are the goals.
And you did everything yourself, like your website and all that stuff?
Yes, the website I did myself. I did hire my friend who's a photographer to take the photos.
Amazing.
I rented a studio space downtown in Toronto that I really liked. But yeah, like the designing of the website and everything was all me.
Good for you, girl. And all the editing of your vlogs and all of that stuff.
Yeah, all
it's
me.
all you.
Yeah.
So if you care to help her, please shout.
I think
I'm hit her up.
I'm thinking I might have to hire an assistant of some sort because like
you're getting busy.
It's too much for me to handle at this point.
It's
like,
never too much.
It's never too much.
You can do it.
I can do it, but it's just like
it's a lot. It's a lot. I feel you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Mom, and thank you to you for having us in the house. But thank you for joining me on this episode. You know, I've only done, this is the 10th episode. I've only done 10 so far, but like I've gotten to sit down with some of my good friends and people that I'm just like really proud to know and stuff. And you came to me through Betsy, and like I've seen your page and heard about you before as well. So it was exciting to get to sit down with you and just have this conversation. And you were very honest and open. So I really appreciate it. So this is episode 10. It is called Got Growth? ?
Yes.
And clearly, Julia has some good growth. Good growth here. Good growth here.
Thank you.
But good growth all around. And thank you guys for listening. And you can check this episode out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, everything.
Wow.
And if you want to watch the video, check it out on YouTube. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Joining me. It was great. And we're done. Thanks, guys.